Dharavi, such a small word, but is one of the world's largest slums located in Mumbai, Maharashtra. It covers an area of 2.1 square kilometers, having a population over 1 million, with a population density of 2.5 lakh people per square kilometer. Surprisingly, it is known as the golden center of Mumbai as three major leading railways and roadways could get us here. History of Dharavi. Colonial era. Back in the 18th century, Dharavi was an island, predominantly a mangrove swamp. Till the 19th century, it became a sparsely populated village inhabited by the Koli fishermen and then was referred to as Kolivada. Dharavi was established in 1882 during the British colonial era and grew due to the expulsion by the colonial government of factories and residents in the downtown Mumbai. Over time, Dharavi has engraved a legacy of sustaining many hubs for small-scale industries, in-house single-room production factories, exporting goods globally with an estimated annual turnover of 1.5 million US dollars. The outbreak of the virus in the city has proved to be the final nail in the coffin for industries. Post-independence. At India's independence from colonial rule in 1947, Dharavi had grown to be the largest slum in Mumbai and all of India. It still had a few empty spaces which continued to serve as waste dumping grounds for the operators across the city. Mumbai, meanwhile, continued to grow as a city. Soon, Dharavi was surrounded by the city and became a key hub for informal economy.
Industries in Dharavi. It is a slum which has 5,000 different businesses as well as industries that export the products of these businesses. Industries like leather, garment, plastic recycling, aluminium brick making, wax printing, pottery making, and wood are among the most famous industries of Dharavi. Leather industry. It is the most prominent industry with the highest share of turnover among all industries in Dharavi. Large profit margins are involved in these industries, attracting young entrepreneurs. Most of these units make use of animal skin, mainly sheep, goat, and buffalo. Steps involved in leather industry. Step 1. Animal skin collected from slaughterhouses for processing into leather. Step 2. It is washed in a washing machine made of wood with a large capacity and then cut into the desired length. Step 3. After the cutting process, the leather piece is put into the pressing machine with the desired pattern and design. Step 4. Semi-finished leather pieces after pressing are made into a final product such as belt, purse, wallet, etc. Step 5. These products are then exported to foreign brands and in very large amounts. Plastic recycling industry. Dharavi has connections and relationship with most of the restaurants around the city to send them their waste to be dealt with. Consider it like a little recycling mafia chain. 60% of Mumbai's plastic waste is recycled at Dharavi. Dharavi's plastic recycling industry alone employs almost 10,000 to 12,000 people. One recycling unit recycles 4 tons of plastic per day. The process involved in recycling plastic are: Step 1. Sorting and segregation. After receiving the waste, a few thousand workers sort and separate the waste into recyclables, that is, metals and plastics, and non-recyclables. The plastic is then sorted further by color and quality. Step 2. Crushing. The sorted materials are crushed into tiny plastics, microplastics, if you will, with the help of crushing machines made of scrap waste metals. Step 3. Cleaning. The plastics are cleaned thoroughly. Step 4. Sold off to melting facilities. Due to safety and health regulations, there are no plastic melting facilities in Dharavi itself. The plastic is sold off to industries all over India to be melted and reused as 60,000 different plastics and resold to companies. Aluminium brick making. This industry uses mixed metal waste as its raw material. In the first step, aluminium is separated from the mixed metal waste by using a magnetic separator. Then, the separated scrap solid aluminium is melted in a furnace maintained at 660 degrees centigrade. That is the melting point of aluminium. Then, the molten aluminium is molded in a form of a solid 5 kg brick which have a market price of rupees 5000 each. Pottery making units. This profession is generally performed by Kumhar community. The peak time for this profession is Diwali. At the time of Diwali, the whole area is covered by the smoke emitted by pottery kilns. This business is run by individual households. Each individual house has its own pottery kiln and a shop facing the road ahead of the house. In Kumbharwada, the Potters Colony, where migrants from neighboring Gujarat state make earthen water pots and lamps. Potter's wheel can be seen through open doorways while ready pots are stacked in the alleys awaiting pickup. The colony is abuzz ahead of the Dasera and Diwali festivals, when decorated pots and lamps are in demand. With small televisions turned on low, women sit cross-legged on the floor in their homes, painting motifs in red, yellow and green and gluing on sequins and shiny bits of mica. Down another alley, a group of women chat and braid leather strips or bells and bags on the stoop of a home. Dharavi also has waste management units. The waste of roughly 23 million people, an estimated 30% of Mumbai's waste, find its way to Dharavi's 2.1 square kilometers through private means. Over the years, Dharavi dwellers have created an industrial economy in Mumbai, creating employment opportunities for the recycling of Mumbai's waste, an undertaking that arguably should be addressed by local councils. The private companies and rag pickers deliver plastic, cardboard, aluminium, metal, and more to different compounds, essentially small recycling plants inside Dharavi, where the resources are transformed into reusable materials for sale, providing income to many of the 1 million people that live in these slums. According to residents of Dharavi, 60% of Mumbai's segregated waste comes to Dharavi for processing, indicated the vital role of waste recycling and processing units of Dharavi in maintaining and managing Mumbai's solid waste management landscape. They are not only managing the waste, but they are making big money out of it and generating employment as well. Dharavi is home to some 60,000 rag pickers, scavengers who find and sort recyclable scraps from the city's garbage dump.
Education in Dharavi. Contrary to the mainstream image of slums, 97% kids do go to school in Dharavi. In the Indian education system, schools teach in Hindi, English, or a local language like Marathi. Besides these varieties, one also finds municipal schools and private schools. Altogether, a kid's life in Dharavi is perhaps not so very different from the lives of other kids. There are various NGOs working with children who hire school classrooms for their classes. Most of the kids come to school after they finish working in day-long 9 to 6 shifts at the plastic recycling units. It was the space that mattered here, a clean environment and a well-lit classroom that made the children happy. People of Dharavi not only pay attention to the schooling and education of the kids but also acknowledges the co-curricular activities like beatboxing, dancing, hip hop and many other activities. Let's look into the few major uprising talents of Dharavi. The V Unbeatables. It is a group which comprises of 29 members from Vasai, Nalla Sopara and Dharavi slums. They participated in Dance Plus Season 4 and reached the top 4. Later, they gained international recognition after participating and winning America's Got Talent Season 15. Beats of Dharavi, Dharavi Rocks. Dharavi Rocks has kids who work there and continues studies at the same time. They encourage them to make instruments from recycled and discarded materials. These little bands nurture their roots from Dharavi and even present their skills on huge.
Residents in Dharavi. The Dharavi slum in Mumbai is a sprawling mosaic of matchbox houses with rickety roofs and questionable sanitation housing. The low-rise building style and narrow street structure of the area make Dharavi very cramped and confined. Compared to Mumbai's urban floor, space index of range from 5 to 15. In Dharavi, it is about 13.3. Despite the expensive Mumbai lifestyle, Dharavi provides a cheap alternative where rent is as low as 1000 rupees per month. Dharavi's residents, like most slum dwellers around the world, live in illegal housing units, lacking basic amenities and suffer from social exclusion. A lack of recognized land titles relinquishes the government from its responsibility of providing the residents with basic public services like water and sanitation. Slums also contain 28 temples, 11 mosques, 6 churches, 50 banks, and 60 government schools. As the chart shows detailed information about the residents in Dharavi, the most preferable resident in Dharavi is one room resident, which is about 44.84% of population lives there. The Dharavi slums face a lot of problems like noise, water and air pollution. It also has no sewage or drainage systems. Every day the potters break kilns send huge black clouds into the air which pollutes the air and makes the cloud black. Children play among sewage waste and the doctors deal with 4,000 cases a day of diarrhea and typhoid. Next to the open sewers are water pipes which can crack and take in sewage. The people have not planned this settlement and have no legal rights to the land. There are also toxic wastes in the slum including dangerous heavy metals.
Sanitation in Dharavi. Sanitation is a vital and strategic area to focus on. Proper sanitation is not only a matter of human dignity and rights, but also a way to mitigate a host of preventable health problems and their economic impact. A 2006 Human Development Report made an almost unbelievable estimate of one toilet for every 1,440 people in Dharavi. It went on to describe the situation as in the rainy season, streets lacking drainage become channels for filthy water carrying human excrement. People in Dharavi rely on wells, tankers, or unsafe sources for their drinking water. In a typical case, 15 families share one tap that works for 2 hours a day. Toilets, sanitation, and the recent rise in reported rape cases across the nation that coincide with this lack of toilet facilities made us went to get some insider stories through candid conversations with Dharavi Binel participants. The overarching problem seems to be that there are very few toilets in working condition and many people who need them. The choice residents make is to stand in long queues rather than relinquish their home space. It raises a debatable question on urban health, living in dingy small spaces that breed diseases or using badly maintained common toilet blocks. There are 225 public community toilets in the slum, used by thousands of people daily.
COVID-19 in Dharavi. Given how the residents of Dharavi are short on space and basic amenities, there has been a lurking concern that the highly contagious disease could spread rapidly, prompting the state to bring in hundreds of reserve police and personnel to enforce the lockdown and social distancing norms. A set of guidelines were issued by Vijay Raghavan office saying some basic steps would be taken. The statement by Vijay Raghavan's office said installing permanent foot-operated stations in public and community toilets encourage people to wash their hands and yet reduce water use. Chlorinating the water dispensed at such stations would add additional effectiveness and should be considered, it said. The guidelines outlined good toilet practices to maintain sanitation and hygiene in communities, and also the basic measures such as wearing face masks, footwear in toilets, and maintaining social distancing. When coronavirus claimed its first victim in Dharavi in April, many feared the virus would turn its narrow, congested streets into a graveyard, with social distancing or contact tracing all but impossible. But 3 months on, Mumbai's Dharavi has won praise from WHO for the efforts taken to contain the spread of COVID-19. The officials say that an aggressive strategy that focused on chasing the virus instead of waiting for disaster helped them flatten the COVID-19 curve in Dharavi. The BMC faced several challenges in Dharavi, but its approach to tackle the virus was focused on the 4 T's: tracing, tracking, testing, and treating. It was a challenge as Dharavi's 80% population depends on 450 community toilets. About 8 to 10 people live in households or hutments that measures about 10 by 10 feet, coupled with existence of narrow lanes with 2 to 3 story houses where often the ground floor is a house and other floors are used as factories. Hence, there were several limitations of physical distancing with no possibility of effective home quarantine. At least 6 to 7 lakh have been screened in Dharavi, while 14,000 persons were tested and 13,000 were placed in institutional quarantine with medical facilities and community. The Dharavi mission. When infection started to rise fast and fewer than 50,000 people were for symptoms, officials needed to move quickly and get creative. And that is when they came up with the Mission Dharavi. Each day, medical workers set up a fever camp in a different part of the slum, so residents could be screened for symptoms and tested for coronavirus if needed. Doctors and private clinics, as part of proactive screening and fever camps, covered as many 47,000 houses, while 14,970 people were screened in mobile vans, officials said. Apart from this, care was taken for the elderly residents and 8,246 senior citizens were surveyed. We mobilized all private practitioners. At least 24 private doctors came forward and the civic body provided them with PPE kit, thermal scanners, pulse oximeters, masks, gloves, and started door-to-door screening in high-risk zones, and all suspects were identified. Strict containment measures were deployed in virus hotspots that were home to 125,000 people, including the use of drones to monitor their movements and alert police, while a huge army of volunteers swung into action, distributing rations so that they didn't go hungry. Local community leaders were appointed as COVID Yodhas to address the concern. The efforts of the government officials and the local leaders can be seen according to official data. While in April the doubling rate was 18 days, it gradually improved to 43 days in May and slowed down to 108 and 430 days in June and July respectively. As many as 2,359 COVID-19 cases have been recorded in Dharavi so far, of which 1,952 patients have recovered from the deadly infection, while there are only 166 active cases at present. WHO lauds effort. Great work! If this can be achieved in Dharavi, there cannot be another place on this planet where this method can ever fail. Only focus, grit, determination, and the will is required.
Redevelopment. There have been many plans since 1997 to redevelop Dharavi, like the former slums of Hong Kong, such as Tai Hang. Companies from around the world have bid to redevelop Dharavi, including the Lehman Brothers, Dubai's Limitless, and Singapore's Capital Land Limited. Mukesh Mehta, an architect, proposed a plan involving the construction of 2,800,000 square meters of housing, schools, parks, and roads to serve 57,000 families residing in the area, along with 3,700,000 square meters of residential and commercial space for sale. Plans proposed and the reasons for its failure. Evidently, many plans were proposed to redevelop Dharavi. Let's look into the few major ones. The Slum Improvement Program of 1972 aimed to provide basic amenities to the slum dwellers. In 1976, the government gave slum dwellers legitimate status. Residents received photo identities and had to pay some money, of which a fraction was paid to the government as land rent. This scheme allowed some housing to be reconstructed and tenants were allowed to build lofts over the existing housing structures. The World Bank funded the Slum Upgradation Program of 1985. It aimed at leasing out the existing slum land to cooperative groups of slum dwellers at affordable rates, granting the loans for environmental and housing improvements. The Slum Rehabilitation Scheme 1995 seek transferable development rights, which was introduced to attract private developers. Then, Dharavi Redevelopment Project of 2004 held the motive of rehousing Dharavi residents into tower block apartments. Freed up slum land would be sold for private developers, which was unacceptable to the Dharavi residents since livelihood depends on the Dharavi's sprawling layouts. Pitfalls in the plan or local opposition to the plans. The existing residents still felt that the 33 square meters of revised permanent alternate accommodations per tenant is not adequate. Those families who lived in the area before 2000 are slated for resettlement. Concerns have also been raised by the residents who fear that some of their small businesses in the informal sector may not be relocated under the redevelopment plan. Due to this opposition, a trust has been proposed called the Dharavi Community Land Trust, which was made up of the community members, landowners, and neighborhood associations. Controversies. The chief controversy in Dharavi revolves around the redevelopment plan, where the government wants to redevelop Dharavi while the people living there refrains to promote this plan. In a short glance, we all might agree that redeveloping Dharavi could provide the people of Dharavi with every basic amenities of which they were eluded of. Then why is there a massive local opposition? The fact that families who lived in this area before 2000 being only stated for the resettlement aroused the discouragement. But the most important and the common fear is losing the small businesses in the informal sector, which may not be relocated under the redevelopment plan. This controversy also led to the creation of great movies like Kala.